If you could discover the whole truth about one historical event, what would it be and why? What happened on the Malaysian flight that disappeared? The most likely theory is that the pilot deoxygenated the plane and then flew around with the dead bodies for around 6 hours until he lost oxygen and died too in a suicide. It's just a very fascinating mystery that probably will never have a conclusive ending. The Romans flooding the Colosseum to have naval battle shows. I'd love to see the enormity of what setting that up actually looks like and what a spectacle those naval battle shows were. The Trojan War. It definitely won't be as interesting as what Homer said happened, but I need to know. On the 18th of March, 1990, 13 works of art worth $500 million were stolen from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston in the early hours. Guards admitted 2 men posing as police officers responding to a disturbance call. And the thieves tied the guards up and looted the museum over the next hour. No arrests have been made and no works have been recovered. If I discovered the whole truth about this event, I'd love to see the art returned and to collect the $10 million reward for information leading to the art's recovery, the largest bounty ever offered by a private institution. Not sure if this counts as historical in the traditional sense, but I want to know everything connected to Epstein and his pedo ring. I want names, because I have a sinking feeling they're all going to get away with it. Seriously. The sinking of the Lusitania. I really want to know what that second explosion was. Along with all the lies and twists and turns that the story took as various governments scrambled to make themselves look good. I think it could be a good possibility that she was carrying some dangerous cargo. But the munitions theory falls apart when you realize that the torpedo missed her cargo holds entirely and hit her boiler room. So what exploded? Why did she sink so fast? I'd like to know what happened to D.B. Cooper after he jumped off the plane. All the societies, empires, tribes that have emerged during a period of human existence completely devoid of any recordings. Just a huge chunk of human existence lost to the dust of time. The story of Stonehenge. A. Balfour. Yes. Emrys. I am incredibly bored. Balfour. Stop saying my name like that. Sorry. Really? Though. There's nothing to do. Well. We could put a bunch of big rocks in a circle. Why? Just to mess with future archaeologists. That sounds like a great idea. Balfour. Dude. What did I just say? The plastic surgery and transportation of Nazi officers from Fuerteventura to Argentine. Also how we ended up in possession of a female skull instead of Hitler's actual skull. I'm not even US citizen. But gosh. Kennedy. IDKY, but I'd like to know. The Mary Celeste. Ship abandoned in 1872 for no known reason despite being full of cargo and ample supplies. Read about it as a kiddo and I'm still wondering what the Pope said to Attila the Hun. Where is little William Tyrrell? 3-year-old boy who went missing from his front yard in NSW, Australia a few years ago without a trace. Breaks my heart. The murder of Swedish Prime Minister Olof Palme in 1986. It's never been solved even though it's the largest criminal investigation in Swedish history. The investigation was sort of concluded last year when police said we think it was this guy but we don't really have any evidence and unfortunately he died 20 years ago so we can't ask him. Oh well, case closed. But no one is taking it seriously and apparently they're thinking about opening it up again. The building of the Sphinx. The whole truth would reveal so much. I know it's something fairly recent but I wish we could find out what happened to flight MH370. I often find myself musing about it and what could have happened and where they ended up exactly. So sad. The domestication of dogs. I saw a study once that tested the problem-solving behaviors of human-raised wolves versus dogs. And found that when they encountered an obstacle, the wolves would just keep trying whereas the dogs would turn their puppy eyes on the nearest human to get some help. So the conjecture is that rather than humans being the ones to seek out and domesticate wolves, dogs are descended from the wolves who looked at humans and went, hey you, with the opposable thumbs. Guess what, we're friends now. I'd love to know exactly how that played out. I really want to know what happened to flight MH370, even though it's quite trivial in the grand scheme of things. I'd love to know what happened to the Nazi gold train. Fun fact. Here in Greece at the mountain ridges above the Katakollo area in Peloponnese, there used to be a fort and allegedly some tunnels going all the way across the ridge below that fort. When the Nazis took over, most of the riches looted by the Nazis in Peloponnese were stashed by those tunnels. At one point during the end of the war, the fort was destroyed and the tunnels buried. So everyone who knows about this wants to go dig up there. But this is likely never going to happen. Why? Because the Nazis, piss on their souls burning in hell, sprinkled the whole stony, rough mountain with landmines. Some of the children who were born there after the war have lost limbs or their lives up those mountains. And no one in an official position will give you permits to legally go up there and dig around. Since THD only way up JT is on foot through the mine-infested mountainside. And illegally digging for ancient artifacts or historical items can easily get you charged for trying to smuggle antiquity items, among many other things. It's not exactly an event, but I'd love to know who built Göbekli Tepe and why. Supposedly hunter-gatherers. But why, and foremost, how would you build something so massive? I'd love to know what they did there. Jesus' actual birthday and death. I can't believe how far I had to scroll to find this. I want the truth about the whole Jesus thing. Birth and death and everything in between. How are their works still in existence from Greek philosophers from the years BC? Yet there is so much uncertainty about what really happened around the time of Jesus. I have been having an existential crisis about this for years. The Library of Alexandria. What did we lose? Rasputin. Legit, what was this dude on? The Bronze Age collapse and the identity purpose of the Sea Peoples. The battles of Lexington and Concord. AKA the shot heard round the world. Who fired that first shot? Greedo. I'd like to see what dinosaurs really sounded like. Know where the Duck is the Zodiac Killer. He might be in his 70s now. Yeah. Where the Duck is that guy. Madeleine McCann disappearance. Not making a sick joke. A German pedophile with a history of violent sexual assaults lived in the area and his phone was recorded as being outside the apartment block on the night MMCC disappeared. He also later told friends that he'd kidnapped her, not knowing that the cell phone evidence existed to corroborate his claim. Hard to look past him as the prime suspect. What happened to Ham in Lee? The Max Headroom incident. Well, I'm greedy. So, 1. The truth behind how the Knights Templar gained so much power. 2. How B-registered signed Rangasoni Ray acquired so much money. How Amelia Earhart disappeared. 99% chance she crashed the plane and either died on impact, drowned. The Big Bang. What was before? See, this one is interesting because if something like the Big Bang were to happen, I'm not saying I don't believe in it. It's just we don't know for sure. Can our minds even perceive what happened before such an event? Because for all we know, it could have just been true nothingness, but it's too difficult for us to actually perceive such a concept. Who killed John Binet? Whether Nero did start the fire or not. The Black Dahlia case. Similar to how people want to know Jack the Ripper's true identity. Roanoke, I wanna know because it's very interesting. If you're referring to the lost Roanoke colony, the consensus is that they joined a nearby native tribe and assimilated. The tribe was found to have a lot of blue-eyed people in it in later years. Ike. No one wanting to see if JC was actually performing miracles and rising from the dead. The Roswell incident. They caught Zoidberg. D. B.F. King Cooper. Mysterious dude, he's probably dead-o. I'd find out how the pyramids were really built and then refuse to tell everybody else what actually happened. If I had to guess. Not a specific event. But I think it'd be fun to bum around with Diogenes in Athens for a few weeks. Sure man. Princess Diana's death. I just started watching The Crown and almost at season 4. Just seems like something was off and the entire family knows the truth. Sometimes when events are shockingly unexpected, we try to create a narrative around them to make them make sense. The most famous woman in the world dying in a random car crash is one of those events. But it's probably just that the driver was drunk and crashed the car. Sometimes random shit happens. If they genuinely wanted to off her, they wouldn't choose something as insanely risky as a car crash in Paris. Edit. Just to add that if the passengers wore seatbelts, they almost certainly wouldn't have died. Just how bad did SJP treat Kim Cattrall? Depends if I'm given the evidence to show people the truth. If I am, then Epstein's murder for sure. If not, then the hijacking by D.B. I want to know every detail of how the Mormon Church was actually founded. Like, what really motivated Joseph Smith to start making claims of talking to God? And how so many people believed him? Knowing what I know now, it would be interesting to learn how Joe concluded he needed to start such a large and lasting cult. Right now. This time now. With so much disinformation and lies, I yearn to not be living in a post-truth reality. The actual life of Jesus. Like, I am an atheist, but I still think an actual guy called Jesus could have existed as a Jewish preacher or something like that. But most of my atheist friends plainly reject the claim of Jesus' existence. Where my missing sock go after drying it? Do dinosaurs count as a historical event? 9-5. I'd love to know exactly what information we lost from the Great Library of Alexandria. JFK murder. A guy named Lee Harvey Oswald shot him twice from a book depository building.